Hello guys, so today we're gonna be discussing duty of care standard 3 for our care certificate, and we'll jump on the question. So activity 3.1a, as a social care or health worker, you have a duty of care to all people you support. Use the following words to define what is meant by duty of care. So duty of care, if we use these words here, suggested words: responsibility, safety, obligation, well-being. So we got the responsibility and obligation for the well-being and safety of our residents. We can put it that way. So duty of care is the responsibility and obligation for the safety and well-being of the residents. That can be your answer. Duty of care as well, if you elaborate, is that it's the middle section of this is abuse and this is neglect. So this is your duty of care. If you don't do something, you are neglecting your resident. If you're forcing them to do something, then that's abuse. So duty of care is in the middle of those two. It means that if they keep refusing to have a shower and you keep ignoring them because, oh, I offered, doesn't want to have a shower, so you're neglecting. But if you don't consider their feelings and then you force them to have a shower, that's abuse. So the middle line there is duty of care. Alright? Activity 3.1b, thinking about your own work role. Complete the sentence below to describe how the duty of care affects you in practice. And the first example has been completed for you. So my job description states that I have certain responsibilities to the individuals I provide care and support to, and to my colleagues. This includes working safely with the interests and wishes of the individual at heart. So the code of conduct means the organizational policies and procedures are there too, and I must report unsafe or abusive practice because, alright, code of conduct, they might have given you the answer over here. So code of conduct tells you how you are expected to behave as a care worker. So that's one answer for your code of conduct. And then the next question, organizational policies and procedures are there for us or to give us guide and to follow for our safety and safety of everyone. So organizational policies and procedures are there to guide us and to make us safe at work. Either of those answers. I must report unsafe or abusive practices because it's my obligation. Because it's my obligation to report abusive or unsafe practice. It's the right thing to do. That can be the answer as well. So activity 3.2a, there will be times when your duty to safeguard the well-being of the individual is in conflict with your duty to promote the individual's right to take risks. It is your duty to ensure an individual is kept safe and does not experience harm, but these situations may cause you a dilemma and you may not know the right thing to do to keep them safe at the same time as enabling them to make their own choices. Think of two dilemmas that might arise in your work and describe this in the space below. So dilemma number 1, we mentioned about the shower. So that can be our dilemma, resident refusing to have a shower. Dilemma number 2, resident who refuse food. So those two scenarios. Now, activity 3.2b and C. For the two dilemmas that you have described in 3.2a, complete the table below to explain what you must and must not do within your role for each dilemma and where you would get additional support and advice to help you resolve the dilemma. Right, dilemma number 1, we said about shower, so refusing shower. What you must do within your role: offer alternative. That could be your one of your answer. So it means if they refuse shower that day, then you offer alternative by saying, can we have shower in the afternoon if you like? Or maybe they refuse because you're a male, then can I ask my colleague to give you a shower, a female colleague? So those are your alternative. If it is not working, can we come back and talk about it later and arrange a shower the next day? So those are alternatives that you can give them. If ever they are really doesn't want to have a shower, then you can say, okay, we'll not have shower today. Can we just offer you a flannel wash? So you can just give her a wash or a bed bath or something that is alternative. What you must not do within your role, so not to force them that, no, you can't say no, we'll go and have a shower. So that's a no. All right, where would you get additional support and advice to resolve the dilemma and why? So if you're a junior staff, you ask your seniors, carers or senior staff. You can go to other people, but do your proper channeling. Go first to your colleagues, especially your senior, and then move up, like the nurses, the clinical lead, clinical coordinator, and then go to your deputy. Your last would be your manager. Dilemma number 2, about refusal to have meal. So again, offer alternative. What would you like instead? If, for example, they don't want their breakfast, then it's either it's too much for them. Let's say they ordered a full English breakfast and it's too much, and that day, oh, I can't eat that. And then you offer alternative. Maybe they want cereals, maybe they just want toast. Another alternative would be if they want cold meal like sandwiches, then you can offer it. If they needed assistance, you can offer yourself. Do you want me to cut it for you? Those kind of things that you can offer. What you must not do within your role: when they refuse their meal, you walk off, take the meal away. That's a no, because maybe they just want to spend time with someone, like for example you being there, and then while you stay with them cutting their food, they will eat it. Or they just didn't say, oh, I'm alone here in my room, and then if you walk off already, then they're back again to zero. No one is there with them. So it's a no to just offer their meal and then leave. Maybe you can stay, you can chat, but don't leave them. Where would you get additional support with this one? Apart from your colleagues, you can ask the chef or the kitchen assistant. So they might help you with other things, like what menu or food they can offer as alternative. All right. Activity 3.3a. Fill in the gaps in the diagram below to show how to respond to comments, concerns, and compliments in line with legislation and agreed ways of working. So these are the suggested words already on top: manager, home, confidentiality, judge, private, listen, complaints. Provide a blank and quiet space for comments, concerns, and complaints to be made. Private, I think. So private is our first one. Inform the individual of the blank policy. We'll skip that. Blank to the individual. Maybe listen to the individual, making sure that you do not judge. Explain the blank procedure. I think this is complaints procedure, and then on top is confidentiality policy. Explain the complaints procedure and whom the comments or complaints should be forwarded to. Inform your manager so that they are aware of the situation. Right, we're almost there. Activity 3.3b. For each of the 3 examples below, describe who you would ask for advice and support in handling comments, concerns, and compliments. A number of individuals you are supporting believe that someone has been tampering with their medical records. You need to report this to your manager. You can start by talking to your nurses about this. You have read the complaints procedure, but you would like to ask for further guidance on one section. Complaints procedure. If you got a senior staff who's been in your workplace for a while, you can talk to them and get advice from them. Your clinical coordinator can give you advice on this one as well. If the nurses are not busy, they can advise you on this one. An individual you support has told you that they wish to make a complaint about the food served at meal times. So with this one, you can again talk to your senior, to the nurses, but also you can involve the kitchen staff with this. So you can get advice from the chef or kitchen assistants. Right. Activity 3.3c. It is essential to learn from comments and complaints when providing care services. Explain the importance of learning from comments, concerns, and compliments in order to improve the quality of service that you provide. So, it is important that we listen to comments or complaints of the people around us, because it's one way of learning. So if, for example, a resident is complaining about the food that you serve, you cannot just say, "It's not me who prepared the food," and that's it. That's your answer. You need to listen and investigate why they feel that way, why they're complaining about the food. And from there, you can relay it to your chef. So it's important. The quick answer for this question is, it's important to listen to the comments and complaints of the resident so that we can improve our services. So we got activity 3.4a and b. You have a duty of care to respond to events and incidents in an appropriate and agreed way. To show your understanding, complete the table below to describe how you would recognize adverse events, incidents, errors, and near misses, and explain what you must not do in relation to each. So an investigation is started after a number of patients died unexpectedly. So between adverse event, incident, error, near miss. Let's read the definition. So adverse events are action or lack of action that leads to unexpected, unintended, and preventable harm. That's one. Errors, not doing something as it should have been done, for example, through bad planning or being forgetful. Near misses, situations where an action could have harmed the individual but either by chance or purpose was prevented. Last, incidents, specific negative events. In health and social care, serious incidents are described as events which need investigation. So the keyword there is investigation, and this one The first one here, an investigation is started after a number of patients died unexpectedly. So this is incidents. So you can circle incident. Describe how you recognize this as an example of an adverse, because you can put here an investigation has started. So that's why it will fall on incident. Explain what you must do or must not do in relation to each example. Must do. So cooperate during investigation. So help during investigation. Must not do. Cover up. So don't cover up. If it's your mate or your friend who is under investigation and ask you to, oh please don't say anything, don't cover up. Must not do. Do not cover up. Do not cover for that person. Just say exactly what happened. So what you must do, you cooperate. Then must not do, do not cover up. Do not cover whatever the incident or the negative thing that happened. You arrive at an individual's home to support them with their shopping to find that colleague has already arrived to undertake their task. So this can be error. So error, because describe how you recognize, because your mate is already there. There was an error, either your error or your mate's error. They didn't look at their rota, that's why they're there, or you forget to write that, oh, I swap shift, or oh, I'm off that day, I'm not supposed to be going there. So must do, if it's your error, correct it, just admit to it. Must not do is to insist. Must not insist. It's an error already. Just own it. So, when serving lunch, an individual who has a nut allergy was given a peanut butter sandwich by mistake. You notice this just in time to change the sandwich. That's a near miss. Meaning, there was supposed to be an error or an incident or a mistake, but you managed to caught it and do something about it. So describe how you recognize there was a mistake and it was corrected or it was anticipated. Okay? So, because we said near miss are situations where action could have harmed the individual but either by chance or purpose was prevented. So that's your answer there. The mistake was prevented. Right, explain what you must do and must not do. Must do. So report that mistake. Although it didn't happen, it's a near miss, but still you need to report it so that they can keep a record that the person nearly had a nut or peanut butter because he's got allergies. So must do, report. Must not do, to keep quiet because it might happen again. So if you report it, then they can keep an eye, they can do something about it. Alright? So it's the same as covering for that mistake. So you need to must not do is to cover your mistake, to hide it. Don't hide your mistake. It didn't happen, no harm was done, but it's a near miss. So it needs to be reported and must not do. Do not hide that mistake. Right, last. An individual in the bathroom area slips on the wet floor. When investigating, you notice that a wet floor sign has not been used. So this one is an adverse event. Adverse event, as we said, action or lack of action that leads to unexpected or unintended and preventable harm. So describe how you recognize this as an example. it was a preventable harm. Could have been prevented. So that's your answer there. Must do. Again, first thing, attend to the person. So call for help and then report. So like there's three things that you need to do here. So first is to attend to that person who got hurt, shout for help or activate your alarm system, emergency alarm, and then you need to report, document what happened. Must not do. Well, in this case, you can't get away with it already. So you must not ignore. Like, you've seen someone on the floor, ignore. Let somebody else deal with it. No, you must not do that. You're the first person who could have helped that by just shouting help. So do not ignore the situation. Okay, so must do, I enumerated there. You can put all of that answer or one or two of those answers. So call for help, stay with the person, document, report. Must not do is to ignore the situation. Like nothing happened, you just ignore that there's someone on the floor. All right. Thinking about the four scenarios in 3.4a and b, list the legislation and agreed ways of working that need to be taken into account when reporting adverse events, etc. So these are legislations, and with the legislations we got loads. Let's just enumerate them. You can put number one. So number one, health and safety. Number two, RIDDOR, RIDDOR, RIDDOR. And then number three, management of health and safety regulation. Number four could be COSHH, COSHH, control of substances hazardous to health. And the other one, an extra answer, would be PUWER, PUWER, provision and use of work equipment regulation. Activity 3.5, fill in the spider diagram below to list the factors and difficult situations that may cause confrontation. One example has been provided for you. An individual with dementia may feel misunderstood, frustrated, and confused. So we need to add some more factors there. And I think I know some of the answers, but let's research more. So with the conflict, a potential answer there would be pain. If they're in pain, they get irritable, and that can start to conflict or confrontation. If medication is another one, if they're taking meds, it's either the side effects of the medication or they haven't given that medication, that's why they're agitated. Another answer here is being bored. If a person is just on her own or on his own in the room, then you go there, or the next door making noise, they already bored in their room, keep hearing noise, then that's another conflict. Environment, we said about noise already. So they're not bored, but they're in that noisy environment, maybe in the lounge, the telly was too loud, etc. So noise, loud noises to be specific. Lack of social interaction. So again, boredom or being left out or feeling lonely, those are the ones. All right, so you need just 4 answers there. Last page, activity 3.5, B, C, and D. What is the factor or difficult situation that may cause confrontation? One that relates to your own role, and answer the question. So what is the factor or difficult situation that may cause confrontation? Agitation, or when the person is uncomfortable, and then you go there, you're just serving meal, and then those tiny things will add up and they get agitated and will result to conflict or confrontation. All right, how could communication be used to solve problems and reduce the likelihood or impact of confrontation? So the answer here is good communication can avoid confrontation, meaning you communicate to the person, how are you feeling today? You ask them, are you okay? So it's not like you're abrupt, here's your meal, bye-bye. So by greeting them, by assessing, by communicating to them, you will learn how they feel that day. Okay, so good communication can prevent confrontation by talking to them, knowing how they feel. How would you assess and reduce the risks in this situation? So asking you how you would assess the person. Right, it changed venue. It was a bit noisy now upstairs, so we move here in the conservatory. How you would assess and reduce the risk in this situation. That's where we left off. So I think the answer here would be, first is receiving a handover. So if we do a bullet for this one, how would you assess and reduce the risks in this situation? So reading the care plan, receiving handover, and then last but not the least is when you go to that person and greet the person, you need to take note, or you need to be observant on how they look, how they answer you, and that's part of your assessment. So you look around the room, how's their posture. So part of your assessment is looking at the person, listening to the person, right? So the answer here on number 3, handover, and like get a proper handover, read the care plan, then visit the person, observe and listen to that person. Okay, those are the answers. What is the agreed way of working for reporting confrontation in your service? So the agreed ways of working for reporting confrontation in your service, in here, policies and procedures or health and safety regarding reporting of incidents. So incident report, that is your answer on number 4.